We live in an age where the mind never rests. From the moment we wake up, our thoughts rush like an unstoppable current, fears about the future, regrets from the past, comparisons that drain our peace. The more we think, the more tangled we become. Overthinking feels like solving a puzzle that keeps changing its shape. We try to find answers, but the very act of searching creates more questions. Have you ever stared at the ceiling late at night, replaying a conversation from days ago, imagining how it could have gone differently? Or maybe you've scrolled endlessly through your phone, hoping that distraction might quiet the noise inside. We all have. Overthinking doesn't mean we are weak, it means we care too much, and we don't know how to let go. The truth is, our mind loves to control what it cannot. It plays old memories like broken records, creating stories that never existed. We believe every thought that crosses our mind, forgetting that the mind is not always our friend. It exaggerates, it predicts, it fears, because it wants to keep us safe. But in trying to protect us, it often locks us in a cage of what ifs. What if I fail? What if they judge me? What if I'm not enough? And so, we stop living in the present moment, the only place where life truly exists. One day, I watched a man sitting by a river. He looked calm, as if the chaos of the world had no permission to enter his space. I asked him what he was thinking about. He smiled and said, "Nothing, I'm just breathing." That moment struck me deeply. How could someone think of nothing? How could peace be so simple? The answer, I learned, was that peace doesn't come from solving every problem. It comes from accepting that not everything needs to be solved. The river flowed with ease because it didn't fight the rocks in its path. It moved around them. We can live like that too, flowing, not fighting. Overthinking often comes from fear of losing control. But when you really look around, control is an illusion. The weather changes, people change, plans change, and yet, we survive every single time. Think about all the times you worried about something that never happened. The sleepless nights, the tension in your chest, the fake conversations in your head, and in the end, life moved on anyway. The mind created storms that never existed. What if peace isn't about fixing the mind, but watching it from a distance, like clouds passing in the sky? Letting go isn't forgetting. It's remembering that not every thought deserves your attention. It's learning to tell your mind, "I see you, but I don't have to believe you." Try this. When a thought arises, imagine it as a leaf floating down a stream. You notice it, but you don't chase it. Slowly, the stream carries it away. That's what awareness does, it separates you from the endless noise. You are not your thoughts. You are the space in which they appear. Overthinking steals the beauty of the moment. You could be sitting in a park, surrounded by sunlight and wind, yet be trapped inside your head worrying about something far away. But once you bring your attention back to where you are, to your breath, your body, the sounds around you, life becomes simple again. The present moment has no fear. Fear only lives in the future, and regret lives in the past. Right now, this very second, everything is okay. In ancient Indian wisdom, the Bhagavad Gita says, "You have the right to perform your duty, but not to the fruits of your actions." It's a reminder that our job is to do our best, not to control the outcome. Once we detach from the result, the mind relaxes. The struggle ends. The anxiety fades. Life begins to unfold the way it was meant to. When you trust the process, even setbacks start to feel like lessons rather than punishments. It's okay to not have everything figured out. Life isn't meant to be perfect, it's meant to be lived. Each day you wake up, you have two choices: to let your mind pull you into the past or the future, or to gently return to the now. When you feel lost, take one deep breath. Feel it travel through your chest. That single breath is your reminder that you are alive, that you are here, and that this moment is enough. You are enough. Peace doesn't come overnight. It comes slowly, through awareness, through patience, through the art of doing nothing once in a while. Some days, your mind will still run wild. Let it. You don't need to win against it, you only need to witness it. Like waves crashing on the shore, in the end, overthinking fades when we stop trying to control it and start understanding it. It's a signal, not a curse. It's your mind's way of saying, "I'm scared. I need reassurance." Instead of fighting it, talk to it gently, "It's okay. We're safe. We don't need to think about this right now." That's what self-compassion looks like, being your own friend when your thoughts turn against you. And one day, without realizing, you'll find yourself sitting by your own river, smiling at the sound of flowing water, thinking of nothing at all. Just breathing, just being. Chapter 2. Healing the Anxious Mind. Anxiety often begins in silence, a quiet tightening in the chest, a flutter in the stomach, a feeling that something unseen is wrong. It's strange how it comes without warning, how it can turn an ordinary moment into a battlefield of invisible fears. You might be sitting in a cafe, scrolling your phone, and suddenly a wave of unease hits, for no reason at all. You try to find logic in it, but there's none. The mind whispers, something's not right, and the body believes it. Your breath shortens, your heartbeat races. You try to push it away, but that only feeds it. Anxiety grows in the spaces where acceptance is missing. We are taught to fight anxiety, to suppress it, to think positive, but fighting something that comes from within only deepens the wound. What if anxiety isn't an enemy, but a messenger? What if it's your body's way of saying, you've been carrying too much for too long? Healing begins when we stop running from it. Imagine anxiety as a frightened child, loud, restless, demanding your attention. If you yell at it, it cries louder. But if you hold it gently and say, "It's okay, I'm here," it slowly calms down. That's what it means to be kind to yourself. Sometimes anxiety appears because we're disconnected from what matters. We chase goals that don't fulfill us, scroll endlessly to escape silence, and fill our days with noise because we fear the quiet. But silence isn't empty, it's full of truth. When you sit in silence long enough, you start hearing your heart again. It doesn't speak in words, but in feelings, the kind that say, "I want peace. I want simplicity. I want to breathe again." The heart never asks for perfection, it asks for presence. In a world that celebrates speed, stillness feels like rebellion. We measure success by how busy we are, not how peaceful we feel. But anxiety thrives on speed. The faster we run, the louder it gets. Have you noticed that when you slow down, when you walk instead of rush, when you breathe instead of react, your world starts to expand? The things you once overlooked suddenly feel alive. The smell of rain, the sound of birds, the warmth of sunlight, they remind you that peace was never gone, it was only buried under the noise of doing too much. Healing anxiety doesn't mean never feeling nervous again. It means changing your relationship with fear. Fear is natural, it's the body's way of preparing you for life's uncertainties. But when fear becomes constant, it turns into anxiety. The goal isn't to eliminate fear, but to guide it. Like a wild horse, it can run you into chaos or carry you to strength, depending on how gently you hold the reins. There's a story from ancient India about a monk who feared his own thoughts. Every time he sat to meditate, his mind would scream with worry. One day, he went to his master and said, "I cannot find peace, my thoughts attack me." The master smiled and said, "Then make them your students." So the monk began to treat every fearful thought as a lesson. When his mind said, "You're not enough," he asked, "Who told you that?" When it said, "You will fail," he replied, "Then I will learn." In time, his mind became quiet, not because the thoughts stopped, but because he stopped believing every one of them. That's the power of awareness, it transforms fear into wisdom. Anxiety lives in anticipation, in the gap between now and what might happen. It feeds on uncertainty, but if you really think about it, everything in life is uncertain. You didn't know you'd meet the people who changed you. You didn't plan your favorite moments. Life's beauty lies in its unpredictability. When you stop needing to control the future, anxiety begins to fade. It loses power when you say, "Whatever comes, I will handle it." That simple belief creates strength. When anxious, remember this: you are not broken, you are human. Every heart that beats also trembles sometimes. Every mind that dreams also doubts. The calmest people you know have walked through storms too. Healing isn't a straight road, it's a spiral. You'll revisit old fears, but each time, you'll understand them better. Slowly, you'll start trusting life again, not because it's always kind, but because you've learned to be kind to yourself. Try this tonight. Before you sleep, place a hand on your chest and take 3 slow breaths. With each breath, whisper to yourself, "I am safe. I am enough. I am here." Your body listens. Your mind softens. That's how healing begins, not in grand gestures, but in small moments of remembering your own strength. And as you drift into rest, imagine yourself by that same quiet river, the one that flows without hurry, that accepts every stone, every ripple, every reflection. The river doesn't question its path, and neither should you. Chapter 3. Letting Go, the Art of Surrender and Trust. There comes a moment in every person's life when holding on feels heavier than the pain of letting go. We carry things, people, memories, expectations, guilt, believing that if we release them, we'll lose control or lose meaning. But the truth is, holding on doesn't protect us, it keeps us from moving forward. Imagine walking with a bag full of stones, each one labeled, "What could have been?" After some distance, the weight becomes unbearable. That's what happens to our hearts when we refuse to release what no longer serves us. Letting go is an act of courage, not weakness. It's choosing trust over control. It's whispering to yourself, I may not know what comes next, but I know I deserve peace. The beauty of life lies not in having everything figured out but in allowing things to unfold. A river doesn't force its way uphill, it flows where it's meant to go, and in doing so, it reaches the ocean. You are the same. The more you resist, the more you suffer. The more you trust the process, the more aligned life becomes. We often confuse letting go with losing. But letting go isn't losing, it's making space, for healing, for new beginnings, for joy you've forgotten exists. The people who left, the plans that failed, the moments that broke you, they all shaped you. But they were never meant to define you forever. There's a quiet liberation that comes when you stop rewriting the same story in your mind. When you stop asking, why did this happen to me? And start asking, what can I learn from this? The Bhagavad Gita says, you have the right to work, but not to the fruits of work. This means that our peace is found not in control, but in surrender. Surrender doesn't mean doing nothing, it means doing your best and leaving the rest. It's about trusting that the universe, God, or whatever you believe in, has a plan more vast than your fears can imagine. And when you finally let go, something magical happens. The weight lifts, the noise in your head quiets. You begin to breathe deeper, laugh easier, sleep better. You start noticing beauty in simple things again, a quiet morning, a warm breeze, a familiar song. The past stops being a cage and becomes a teacher. You stop clinging to what broke and start walking toward what heals. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting, it means forgiving. Forgiving yourself for what you didn't know, forgiving others for what they couldn't give, and forgiving life for not being perfect. Because peace isn't about changing the past, it's about accepting it with grace. Chapter 4. Rediscovering Yourself, The Return Home. At some point in adulthood, most of us wake up feeling disconnected. You look in the mirror and wonder, who am I beneath all these roles and responsibilities? You used to dream, laugh freely, believe in possibilities. But somewhere along the way, between expectations, failures, and survival, you began to lose touch with that pure part of you. The part that loved without fear, that tried without hesitation. Rediscovering yourself isn't about becoming someone new, it's about peeling away everything false that you've picked up along the way. We live in a world that teaches us to perform instead of to be. We're told what success looks like, what happiness should feel like, how to speak, dress, behave. And little by little, our authenticity fades. But the truth is, who you are beneath the noise is still there, waiting. Waiting to be remembered. The journey inward often begins when something external stops working, a relationship ends, a dream fails, or life pauses. That's when the voice inside finally whispers, come back to me. Coming home to yourself means reconnecting with what feels right, not what looks right. It means asking, what do I actually love? What gives me peace? What drains me? It's sitting quietly with your discomfort instead of escaping it. It's listening to your intuition again, that gentle inner compass we silence in the chase for validation. And in that rediscovery, you begin to notice that happiness was never in the next promotion, the next city, or the next person. It was always in the present, waiting for you to slow down and see it. You begin to laugh at small things again. You stop pretending to be fine all the time. You become kinder, not because life is easy, but because you've suffered enough to understand that everyone is fighting unseen battles. The Japanese philosophy of kintsugi teaches us to repair broken pottery with gold, making the cracks a part of its beauty. The same is true for you. The things that broke you also made you more compassionate, more understanding, more alive. Rediscovering yourself isn't about erasing pain, it's about transforming it into wisdom. When you rediscover yourself, you stop chasing perfection and start embracing wholeness. You learn that you are allowed to outgrow people, habits, and versions of yourself. You realize that self-love isn't selfish, it's sacred. You start making choices not out of fear, but out of freedom. You stop waiting for others to choose you, because you finally choose yourself. Chapter 5. Purpose, the meaning in the journey. Purpose, the word itself feels heavy. Many people spend their lives searching for it, believing it's some grand destiny waiting to be unlocked. But what if purpose isn't found in one big revelation? What if it's discovered in small, everyday moments, in the way you show up, care, and create meaning where you are? The Gita reminds us, it is better to live your own destiny imperfectly than to live an imitation of somebody else's life with perfection. Your purpose doesn't have to look like anyone else's. Maybe it's not changing the world, maybe it's changing someone's day. Maybe it's being a good parent, a kind stranger, a patient teacher, or an honest worker. Greatness is often hidden in simplicity. Purpose reveals itself through consistency, through what you're naturally drawn to, what you can't stop thinking about, what feels right even when it's hard. For some, it's creating art, for others, it's healing, teaching, or building. The form doesn't matter, the intention does. When your actions align with your values, you feel alive. You stop needing validation because meaning becomes your reward. But purpose also evolves. You might outgrow certain dreams, and that's okay. What served you at 20 might not serve you at 40. The key is to stay curious and humble, to keep asking, what matters most to me right now? Sometimes, your purpose is not in achievement but in endurance, in how you carry yourself through uncertainty, how you stay kind when it's easier to be bitter. The modern world confuses purpose with productivity, but they are not the same. Productivity is about doing more. Purpose is about doing what matters. You can be busy and still feel empty if your actions don't align with your truth. Purpose gives meaning to effort. It turns struggle into service and chaos into clarity. When you live with purpose, every small act becomes sacred. Washing dishes, smiling at a stranger, forgiving yourself. You realize you don't need to wait for the big moment to matter. You already matter. The purpose of life may simply be to live it fully, with awareness, compassion, and courage. Chapter 6. Peace, the final return to stillness. After all the searching, striving, and questioning, there comes a moment when you stop running, and that's when you find peace. Peace isn't the absence of noise or chaos, it's the quiet strength within you that remains untouched by them. It's not about escaping the world but learning to move through it with grace. Peace begins with acceptance, the willingness to let life be what it is. We suffer not because life is unfair, but because we demand that it should always go our way. True peace comes when you stop arguing with reality. When you say, this moment is enough. I am enough. You begin to see that peace was never lost. It was buried beneath fear, ambition, comparison, and regret. Once those layers fall away, what remains is clarity, a calm, steady awareness that doesn't need to prove or perform. You stop reacting to everything. You start responding thoughtfully. You learn that silence isn't emptiness, it's presence. In the scriptures, peace is often described as the final homecoming of the soul. When you quiet your mind, you reconnect with that timeless essence, the part of you untouched by external circumstances. Whether you call it Atman, consciousness, or simply awareness, it is the same presence that watches the waves without becoming the ocean. That's where peace lives. Peace doesn't mean you'll never be sad or anxious again. It means you'll learn to hold those feelings gently, to sit with them instead of fighting them. You'll stop searching for constant happiness and start appreciating contentment. You'll realize that the present moment is enough, because it's all that ever really exists. The more peaceful you become, the more your outer life aligns with that stillness. You attract calm people, meaningful opportunities, and serene spaces, not because you're lucky, but because you've become a match for them. And maybe that's the final lesson. Peace isn't something you achieve, it's something you remember. You were born with it. You just have to return home to it. Chapter 7. Healing, the bridge between pain and peace. Healing is not an event, it's a journey, a quiet unfolding that happens beneath the surface, often without applause or clarity. It's the slow, invisible work of the soul as it learns to breathe again after being held underwater for too long. Healing does not begin when the pain stops, it begins when you stop running from it. Most of us want healing to feel like magic, a moment where everything suddenly makes sense, where the heart stops aching, where the past no longer hurts. But true healing is not clean or quick. It's messy. It's days when you feel light followed by nights when you crumble again. It's waking up one morning with hope, and another with heaviness. It's progress disguised as repetition. The body heals with rest. The mind heals with silence. But the heart heals with acceptance. Acceptance doesn't mean agreeing with what happened. It means you stop resisting reality. You stop fighting the story of your past and start learning from it. Healing asks for patience, and patience is one of the purest forms of faith. Faith that the pain that once broke you will one day shape you into something softer, wiser, and freer. Pain is not punishment. It's the teacher life sends when we stop listening. When something hurts deeply, it's usually because it has touched something unhealed inside you. Instead of asking, why me? Try asking, what is this pain trying to show me? Sometimes it's a lesson in boundaries. Sometimes it's the courage to let go. Sometimes it's an invitation to slow down and remember who you are. You see, the heart doesn't heal by forgetting. It heals by feeling, by allowing yourself to grieve, to cry, to sit with the emptiness. That's not weakness. That's the sacred process of becoming whole again. The Gita says, out of stillness arises wisdom. When you stop trying to escape discomfort, you begin to understand what your soul has been whispering all along. Healing often requires solitude. There's a silence that speaks louder than any advice. In solitude, you learn to comfort yourself. You learn that your worth was never dependent on how others treated you. You learn that your scars are proof of survival, not signs of failure. You begin to look at your reflection and no longer see damage, you see resilience. And one day, it happens quietly, you realize you laughed without forcing it. You slept without crying. You walked past a memory that used to shatter you, and you felt only gratitude for what it taught you. That's how healing arrives, not as a lightning strike, but as the dawn after a long night. The truth is, healing never ends. It evolves. Every stage of life asks for new strength, new grace, new surrender. Healing is not about returning to who you were before the pain. It's about becoming someone wiser, deeper, and kinder because of it. So breathe. Let it take the time it needs. You are not behind. You are becoming whole, slowly, beautifully, completely. Chapter 8. Resilience, rising when the world falls apart. Life has a strange way of testing your strength at the exact moment you feel weakest. It will take away your comfort, your plans, your certainty, and then whisper, now, who are you without them? Resilience is not built in calm seas. It's born in storms that threaten to break you. But the miracle of resilience is that it doesn't just help you survive, it helps you transform. You don't truly know your strength until being strong is your only choice. Think about the trees that stand tall through endless winds. Their roots don't resist the storm, they deepen. The same happens to your spirit when life shakes your foundation. Every challenge you faced has quietly strengthened your roots. You just didn't see it then. Resilience is not pretending to be okay. It's crying and still showing up. It's being terrified and still taking one small step. It's falling 100 times but refusing to stay down. It's the art of beginning again and again, even when you don't know how the story ends. We often think resilience means toughness, but it's really flexibility, the ability to bend without breaking. To adapt without losing yourself. The strongest people aren't those who never feel pain, they're the ones who learn to dance with it. The Gita teaches us that change is the law of life. He who resists it, perishes. He who embraces it, evolves. Resilience begins when you stop asking, why me, and start saying, try me. Not out of arrogance, but from an inner knowing that no storm can destroy what's meant for you. Every setback carries seeds of renewal. Failure isn't the end, it's the soil where growth begins. Resilient people don't see obstacles as enemies, they see them as teachers. They know that sometimes life breaks you so you can rebuild stronger foundations. There will be times when you feel tired of being strong. That's okay. Even warriors rest. Resilience isn't about never falling, it's about knowing you will rise when the time comes. Rest when you must, but don't surrender your hope. And when you finally stand again, scarred, maybe, but wiser, you'll see that the storm didn't destroy you. It revealed you. The pain that once felt unbearable becomes proof that you are unbreakable. The world may have changed, but so did you, and that's the power of resilience.